All right, I'm back from Missouri. Yay! Let me get back here. Let me get back. It was really gorgeous there. The area where we had it, and Zach Martin was such a test. It was such a great host, and it is a really great place for a festival, and we do see it going into a bigger realm every year. They did really try to hit us with the news pieces, and once again it's a fear factor, and they make people afraid that Antifa is going to show up, or that the FBI is going to come busting in, or it's all intimidation, all in fear. It is all part of it, but slowly, with consistency, people get stronger and they get braver, and they show up the next year, and more people show up the next year, and that is just how grassroots movements work. So that is what we were doing there. There were a lot of great speakers. It was on live stream, and there was a lot of really great fellowship, and we had some new Jan 6ers come in. We had some uncharged Jan 6ers. We had some repeat families from last year, and so throughout the weekend we really did, we had a good time, and a lot of the message got out. Even if it got out to 2 people, that is important, because those 2 people are going to go tell 2 people, and that's just like what I was talking about. Tommy is back also. He and Mickey have gone with Ron J to promote our anniversary block party here on August 1st. So that's going to be happening, and they're with the Young Republicans now, and just trying to get some exposure for the corner down here. So Dwight is going to lead us in prayer. Happy to be back, you guys. Let's join.
To give a little shout out to the Northern Neck Patriots, who are celebrating their 2nd anniversary this evening. They're having a potluck dinner down in Warsaw, Virginia. So, yeah, Steve was with me and Tommy, and Steve and Stormtrooper went out there and started that. We met Gary and Tom with the Northern Neck Patriots, and then we were introduced to John Haynes of the Northern Neck Sentinel, and without the help of those guys and other people like Sherry Pitts and other great patriots of the Northern Neck Patriots, we would not be able to have done all the things that we were able to do with Northern Neck, getting our guys out of Northern Neck, putting the boot to the neck of Alan Hull down there at Northern Neck, which we haven't let up, and we are still doing. We actually have a new J6er down there. His name is Michael Perkins, so we got to keep him in our prayers too. But just a special shout out to those patriots down there who are really very salt of the earth people. So they pass a hat around every week. Some of them can afford to put $5, $10 in to donate to the cause, and it's really, it affects them, and that's the kind of donation that really, every donation really matters, but to me, the ones that, they already are living on such a fixed income or a tight budget, and they feel it's so necessary to, join in this fight fiscally. And I feel like, I thank them, I applaud them, and, I hope there's more patriots out there like them that will step up.
And that's movement. We're talking about what the Northern Neck Patriots prove that can happen when you gather your community together and you work for a cause and a goal. What can happen? And they're relentless, and they have been relentless. And so, that is what all of us have to keep doing. That's what Missouri's about. That's, in many ways, this is what the corner is about too. And, and we're just going to keep the message going, because I was reflecting today what's all happened in almost this year that we are going to celebrate on August 1st, and all the changes, even in the hearts and minds of so many people. And it's not just the corner here. It is It is in the courtrooms. It's in Congress. It is the Northern Net Patriots. It is the prayer vigils Thursday morning at Pete's Diner. It is, all these things happening in conjunction for the betterment of our country and to get justice for our American citizens. And for Ashley, Roseanne, Kevin, Benjamin, and Brian. At the end of the day, when people open their eyes up and realize the American government will murder you for their greater cause, people are aghast. That could not believe how the government came into these families' homes, my family's home. They're like, what? What are you saying? They could not believe that there were 43 arrests just in the month of June. They did not know that. They had no idea the amount of time many of these men have been sitting in pretrial detention because many of these people are uncharged Jan 6ers. And they've been keeping it on the down low because they're horrified that the government's going to come in and wipe them out because when the government gets to them, they will. And they know that. So, it is scary. So I applaud them for being brave enough to come anyway, even with the bad press that the, Associated Press put out that all the newspapers picked up about how we were glorifying criminality and insurrection and we've hijacked the word patriot. How dare they? You're not changing that definition of patriot on me. I know what a patriot is. Tammy, you're a patriot. I know, Mike, that's exactly right. And we didn't hijack it. We're taking it back. So, and we wear it with honor. And I've met that know that's ending, the more other people will. So I love you guys. I'm back. Hopefully we have stuff going on. We don't know.
We may be having some calls later.
Oh, well, you know what? Because we can talk about Brian Mock's trial. We'll play some music. But, Brian Mock was... he really laid it out, so I can't wait to tell you guys about it.
Now we're going to discuss the mock trial that was Brian Mock today.
Okay, so this is the same trial that Tommy Tatum testified in 10 days ago or so, around. And Tommy and Brian Mock had never talked, and honestly, Tommy did get... his truth on the record, that day. So Brian, he fired his lawyer within the first couple of days of his bench trial with the Chief Judge Boasberg. So that is who is presiding over this bench trial. And when Tommy came in and testified, Brian really wanted, he wanted this time to be able to come back. And boy, did Brian come back when he came back in there today. Because he is pro se, and it is a bench trial, the rules are very different than what you have dealing with the jury. So you just have the judge to deal with, and he is the one who can make the decision on what he is hearing. So you don't have to worry if the jury is hearing anything improper. Had put forth, Brian's charged with 4 assaults, I believe, and the government had put forth still videos and different types of videos showing these alleged assaults. Well, Brian came out today and he went through the video of everything that was around him that was in his discovery at that time. He really showed a lot of different instances where there was a bad actor, the person breaking the window, and you see the crowd say, stop, or whatever they're saying, and the police finally come up. The police get him, and they take him down, and not one person in the crowd went after those police officers or did anything. And what Brian said is absolutely true, is that this is what a crowd does when the police do their job correctly. And so, using that as an example, he then went through and had video and time. I mean, he went from, like 121, 125, the men in the crowd where he was, no one was violent at that time. And then he shows the indiscriminate shots, the video that Inspector Lloyd called for that day when he said, you know, let's fire it. He fired indiscriminately into the crowd. And Brian said, you know, the crowd then saw, you know, the police fire into a crowd of women, children, men, elderly, you know, all of the above. Well, that also enraged the crowd, and you see the change in it, and he pointed that out to the judge. Well, during this time, the prosecution and the FBI, she is sitting very still at her desk with her hands clasped directly in front of her and just staring at the video. And Brian got to go on for how long, would you say? Like an hour and a half?
Yeah, it was quite some time. He was able to get into record and show other parts of the video that the prosecution was not trying to show, of the police brutality that day and unwarranted police brutality, where they weren't doing anything that just simply standing there and a woman was assaulted 3 times, 4 times, and then one of the assaults that he was charged with was an instance where he was able to show where he was actually tripping and falling, and so he, reached out to grab the nearest thing to him, which happened to be the bike fencing, to hold himself up to stop from falling, and that was an assault on a police officer.
Right, and another thing that the government did was that they took a still of a video at an exact time. Well, what Brian did is he showed exactly what the government had introduced into court, and then he showed the video. Well, what the still showed was not what the video showed, and he proved that. He did it at the exact same time, at the exact same mark, and he did that on 2 different occasions. And, you could really see the DOJ squirming. They had a couple of their other comrades come in and sit in the front row and text heavily back and forth with each other, and then showing themselves the text. And then when the government, then Brian rests. And really, Brian, I felt like, did an excellent job for all Jan 6ers today by showing what they were witnessing in the broader view. He did show by like 1:30, 1:28 or so, there was not a bike rack really around where he was walking all the way up that he could see. He could not, and these are from his discovery, from his perspective. And then when the government comes back up, they want to ask him, oh, well, in this photograph, didn't you see this obscure thing in the corner lower quadrant of the picture? And it is just snow fencing. Okay, well, if I see snow fencing, I'm not necessarily going to think that, oh my goodness, and I'm definitely not going to see it when you're in a mass of people that way.
And it was on the ground in the grass.
Exactly. They were just pointing it out. You can play Where's Waldo all day long with these photographs. That's not indicative of what these people saw while they were walking up. We can study a photo all day long and see all kinds of things. But that doesn't mean that that's what the crowd necessarily or that person could see. So, then the government comes back after a 10-minute break, and Judge Boasberg asked 4 times, we have to speed this up. And he was like, is this more of them saying the national anthem? Is this more of the crowd saying to the police officers, thank you? And it was like, he just wanted, let's get past that. We get the point.
Yeah, we saw that already. Let's move past it. I've seen that. And he actually instructed Brian at one point about how he should be answering his questions.
Right. And, because I took his quote down. That's after the government got up there.
Yeah, sorry. That's okay. I just remembered I quoted the judge. And I was like...
Move in just a little closer.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me better now?
Great.
Thanks. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah. Nicole's looking for the quote, but it was actually, I was like, wow, really? Did the judge just say that?
Yeah. Okay, so he showed at 2:20 in minor distress on the stairs, and she was shoved down the stairs, and the crowd reacted to what they've seen. Now, sitting in all these trials, you hear these stories of these men and women who say that this is what they've seen. This is what we saw. And many times, because the court situation is different, that evidence isn't allowed in. So, because this is pro se bench trial, there are different rules. And, he goes on and on. They also tried to prove when the government came up there, and this has been an ongoing theme throughout the trials, and this is something that they want to get on the record, because at sentencing they can hold them, they can enhance them, is, basically that you have the belief that you would die for your country, and that gives you a heavier sentence because of your intent that day. Well, I think all Americans would die for the true patriots would die for their country and their freedoms and their liberty. So, they really are just making fun again and criminalizing our forefathers. And, they did that again today with the Virginia state motto. And they declared, they were like, Mr. Mock, you posted this motto 7 times in 2 days. And is this your rallying call? And he was like, I'm from Virginia. This is my state motto. And it is a quote from our forefathers. And once again, they're making it sound like this ideology that you are crazy to believe in it. And because they didn't have a lot on Brian, what they were trying to do was impeach him by getting him to slip up and maybe make a misstatement and not perjury. But if they can get him to make a misstatement or a misstep, then they feel like that they can call him a liar and they can berate him. They wanted to know in one of his posts if he truly believed that the integrity of the election needed to be questioned, because then that question is going to lead to, why were you there that day? Were you there that day to stop that certification? Were you there that day to disrupt it? Because the minute that you say yes, they got you with an obstruction charge right there, and you have a 20-year sentence looking at you. Okay, so, this is what they kept trying to get him to step into. And I thought he did a really good job. That's a lot of pressure. His entire future is on the line right now, and he is representing himself. And if he messes up, this judge can do whatever he wants. And honestly, this judge is going to do whatever he wants. So we're going to wait and see how Judge Bozer. We know what we saw. I know how the government reacted. I know how the body language was in the room. I saw the FBI get tense. I saw Judge Boasberg hold his head in his hand. And that is something that you can't really understand until you feel it. They knew it. And they're going to ridicule him. They're probably going to call Brian a liar, delusional, because he believed that, there could be some question with the elections, that he has an ideology that our country was left a legacy by our forefathers, that it is our responsibility to protect. And they're going to make him seem like he's crazy, because I've seen it happen over and over and over again. So let's see, how this plays out. My prayers are with Brian. I thought he did a great job.
I think he did a great job as well. I think, they tried really hard to slip him up. They did. They tried to get him on the knowing when the election certification exactly was happening and all this. And he said, no, I didn't know that. So, he stuck to his guns, and I think he spoke his truth really well. He was an eloquent speaker. So, my prayers are with him.
Well, Judge Boasberg did settle him down, because there was a little bit of contention. I would imagine in real life, like with most alpha males out there, they're a little bit arrogant and cocky. And he was just a little bit, and Judge Boasberg, well, it was a tit for tat. The government gets up there and they want to be cocky and throw the weight of the United States government in your face. I'm not really sure how they expect people to react. And strong people are going to react with, why are you talking to me this way? You have no business doing that. And, and that is kind of a bit what that was about. And Brian did change his tone a bit. He didn't back down. He just cut the little toned down, but all in all, we'll see how all this plays out. There were a couple of other Jan 6er sentenced today. I believe one got
38 months.
the other guy got 30, but I can't remember. Sorry. I'll look at the name and see. Sorry, there's just a lot. I mean, Tammy and I were talking about it today, trying to get in there and hear what these judges are saying and see what the defendants are doing. Personally, two people can't even do that, because you're not going to get the bigger story on all of it. You're not going to be able to see the big picture because you're going to have to go all over the place. So, it's impossible. So, you just got to, all this process is really overwhelming because on top of all that, do you want to talk about what's going on inside or are we going to not? All right. Tammy got this info.
Straight from the horse's mouth. I spoke with Coach last night as well as Brian. They're doing good and their spirits are high. Coach is not impressed by Toronto's stopping abilities. He said it was more like a pin prick. So I guess Taylor, tried to assault him with a pen and it was more of a prick, but that is what kicked off the violence yesterday in the pod. Her, Coach, and Brian. So if anybody wants to call my husband a liar, go ahead. I dare you. Also, I've spoken with many other inmates inside that also relayed the same information to me, as well as, other information about who's on our side, who's not on our side, who's speaking out against us, who's snitching behind their backs. And I'm not going to name any names tonight because I'm going to continue my investigation to my little research. But there are some people that, maybe need to be taken off the roll call, just in my personal opinion. I don't think that we should be celebrating people that are trying to actively take us down. That's just where I stand, and I'm not going to waver from that. And if anybody wants to know any personal information about what went on that I don't feel like saying on air, hit me up. You got my line. Everybody has my line. Even the haters have my line. So before you talk about me, why don't you talk to me?